Well, the killing of Deborah Samuel, a student of Shehu Shagari College of Education, is generating a lot of ripples across the country. Well, from the presidency to religious leaders and even traditional leaders, all condemning the mob action that led to her death and the subsequent riot, destruction and even looting. Well, how can Nigeria put a stop to extrajudicial killings, and how can we really strengthen security agencies to respond to issues like this promptly before lives are lost? Well, Arise News analyst Dr. Amadi joins us now to take a look at this issue. Dr. Amadi, thank you so much for being here. And, you know, ending extrajudicial killing and the way forward is a conversation that we should have had a long time ago, but they say better late than never, because after Deborah, we've seen more mob actions where young Nigerian lives have been lost. So how can we put an end to this?
I think that's an important question right now. After all this outrage, the next question is, what do we do to stop this happening? It's not just religious issues, also social issues, cultural issues, ideological issues. There are low killings of students from University of Port Harcourt, which finally they were convicted after many years. So we've seen bestiality, we've seen savagery at large scale. Now, three things are happening. One is a culture of violence. We see both from politics, we see it in society. So there's a sense in which people basically have a debased sense of humanity. So violence is now kind of mainstreamed. When you look at the way people die, banditry, kidnapping, the end result is that you cheapen life and make bloodletting, you know, more like routine thing to do. The second is the lack of the impunity, the failure of the judicial system at two levels. So people are not deterred because they know that they're likely not going to be arrested, they're likely not going to be prosecuted. At another level, people also who feel aggrieved have no patience to resort to grievance management mechanism because they have no confidence that those. So even if in the case in Sokoto, people might allege whether it's blasphemy or not, somebody might feel. But if there's a confidence in the legal system, whether the Islamic or the secular, people will be more prone to allow process. So we are seeing the combination of a psychology of violence, a social pathology, if you like, and then also the fact of failure of judicial system that encourages on two ends. First, the idea that nobody will catch up with me, not to happen to me, and also the fact that people also impunity. People get back to sit back and see that those who committed heinous crime, whether from religious or cultural or capitalist mindset, get away with it. So we need to reset the entire legal system, criminal justice administrative system. We need to deal with economic justice system because, by the way, people say too much poverty, joblessness, hopelessness makes young people, prisoners
to crime.
Criminal entrepreneurs who are either for religious purpose or ideological purpose, whether the north or south. So this is what we are seeing. So once in a while, we see this kind of conflagration. The good thing is that most of the leaders have been very, very moderate and reasonable in their response. We saw the Sultan came out early enough, condemning the action, calling for peace. The Bishop of Sokoto, Kuka, did fantastic work and said, look, we have lived here peacefully with everyone in Sokoto
for more than a century.
So we've not seen this crisis.
Even the Northern Governors Forum
came out, and then the governor has been also very calm-headed, engaging the Christians, the ulama, everybody, and so far they are taking the right action. Just not the governors. So everybody involved has been, fortunately, everybody has been very efficient, very calm, de-escalation. So I want to thank the Sultan, the Bishop himself, the governor, who has been on ground and very painstaking and effectively, dealing with all the. And so that's why we're seeing the de-escalation. But the real crisis is, why do we have to always have this, jungle justice? Because criminal justice has failed in Nigeria. Impunity, people have no confidence on two ends. The victims have no confidence of justice, and those who feel aggrieved resort to self-help because they too have no confidence in the system.
Dr. Amadi, just before you shift the blame at the doorsteps of the judiciary, how about the security agencies? Are they doing enough to nip such in the board? They
are failing on two ends. By the way, the criminal justice system includes primarily the security agencies. Deterrence. And when deterrence fails, dictation, arrest, prosecution. Now, look at the stories we're hearing now. Oh, the victim or the culprit, alleged killer, is from Niger
and
has escaped. I mean, those are very dumb reasoning. So the police failure at two ends of prevention. We had some of the skirmishes yesterday on attack on the Catholic Church. Thankfully, there was no much damage, but the police, the story is that the police could not even stop it from
happening. But the security agencies have taken proactive action in the case of Borno State, Maiduguri, to prevent, you know,
even in Kaduna State as
even
well.
In Kaduna State.
The governor was also proactive by announcing end of protest.
But they should do more.
Because you see, once bitten, twice shy maybe. They get caught flat. Then when that happens, they now, you know,
the destruction would have been
massive, and they now rear guard. But more important is that people want to see transparent investigation. If this event will have closure, so all the culprits are publicly tried, all the culprits, like the case that happened in 2007, where at the Supreme Court, it happened in Bauchi, the issue of blasphemy, they went and killed a person. The court in Bauchi convicted them and said, you're not a Sharia court, you can't do this. They went to court appeal, we were convicted. They went to Supreme Court. This Chief Justice of Nigeria read a beautiful judgment and said, look, even if blasphemy has happened, there is a procedure, due process.
Yeah.
So those of you who went and killed this person should be hanged. Absolutely. So if you have that kind of justice system that's transparent and definitive and conclusive, then you begin to deter those who may want to take vengeance onto themselves. Because what we're hearing from Islamic scholars, clerics, is that when this offense is established, it's through due process. Nobody is saying anybody has a right to appropriate, to punish, whether by state law or by Sharia law, any offense, whether it's blasphemy or whatever. It has to go through a process. So if we can painstakingly re-establish the credibility of justice system, if we also deal with the social psychology of true education, enlightenment, and again, like Kanase said, control some very dangerous preachings on both sides. It doesn't matter religious. You know, the idea that freedom of speech includes freedom to mobilize people to commit a crime is totally ruled out. The EU, the European Human Rights Court, had clearly that when there's very flagrant violation of sensitivity of worshippers, in the case where somebody abused the prophet, they said freedom of expression does not include freedom to be reckless.
Absolutely.
And the state has a responsibility to make sure that people who commit crime are punished, and therefore that there is always a remedy for violation whether of speech.
Absolutely. And Dr. Sam, if you look at this report, there's a report by Democracy Watch that actually says extrajudicial killings within 10 years, ending last year, 2021, 13,241 Nigerians have lost their lives to extrajudicial killings.
Whether by the state security,
by state or by individuals, but over 13,000 people within a 10-year period. I want to stay with the law enforcement agents. There's still that issue of lack of trust, where people, even when they see certain things before they happen, they still don't go to the law enforcement agents. So how can they be strengthened so that way the public trust can be regained, where people can report these things before they happen? In
fact, Nigeria leaders forget that the core institution for economic development is rule of law institution, policing. Now we talk about foreign investment, local investment. It can't happen in a society where you don't have a strong police. A strong police is not about breaking people's head, smashing protesters. It's actually about this capacity to prevent. Some of these extrajudicial killings happen even in the sight of police officers. They just walk away. They too are demoralized. We have visited so much violence on them in terms of poverty, in terms of even their pay and all that. So we need to rebuild holistically the justice system. We need to have police officers who are not just well trained and equipped, but psychologically ordered well. And welfare is provided for them so that they're able to understand that their brief is actually at all costs to protect life and liberty of citizens. Again, you have to align religious and traditional institutions to the notion that human life, that countries go to all extent to protect human life, and no matter the crime committed, whether it's burglary, whether it's criminality, we need to have criminals prosecuted and not liquidated. By the way, look at ELSAs. If you look at the carelessness with which the state itself kills, then it encourages citizens to also devalue life. So if you see state painstaking in dealing with citizens' life, you see a cascade. Individuals will now begin to see that human life. So basically the state has degraded human life, and individuals now see human life. Look at the old report about banditry. People died, 500 died. We just watched 20 die. It's like story. So the level of killing,
we're counting numbers now.
Deaths, avoidable killings in this country is a pandemic of itself.
Very quickly, ethnic and religious jingoes really don't have anywhere in the society. And I asked the lawmaker, should religion be regulated? Will it temper that high level sensitivity?
I think Nigeria, from 1957, when the Northern region brought the first committee to look at the role of Sharia and law, the committee recommended, headed by Professor Anderson, then of University of London, recommended that we should not implement criminal Sharia. In 1959 Constitution, it was repeated. In 1990 Constitution, up till now. But what happened in 2000, there was a structural reversal of that arrangement. So we've seen the incoherence, structural incoherence and constitutional incoherence between how should Nigeria manage religion. We're religious people, but we shouldn't have religious state. And that's what the Constitution says. And so we've seen creeping religiosity in policy making. And Nigerians see it as if it's a normal thing and it's going to cost us big. So there's need now to sit back and clarify the principles for regulating religion. And I totally agree with you that this problem is caused because of too much mainstreaming of religion in governance. And once you do that, you create opportunity, you saturate the social psychology. People now think that they have to see the state as an extension of their church, of their mosque, or their shrine. The state is agnostic. The state is not a believer. The state is not religious.
Right. Good place to leave the conversation.
Absolutely.
Dr. Sam Amadi. Of course, the state has to do more to protect the lives of Nigerians, really.
Absolutely. Thanks so very much for coming.